Hello and welcome back to Honey Badger 3D Print and Paint. Today, let's take a look at the Weapon X. Before we get started, roll those credits. Okay, welcome back. So, before we go any further, let's do a quick 360 of what this model looks like. Now, unfortunately, because of its size, it won't fit on a Lazy Susan that we have, so we're just going to walk around it, which means you're going to see a lot more of my kitchen than I planned. Okay, so Weapon X. So this is supposed to be pre-Wolverine being known as Wolverine, when he's going from having his bone armor through to his adamantium one. I'm pretty sure Weapon X is an alternate timeline where he wasn't necessarily known as Wolverine, but anyway, so this was a really difficult model to get right. So it was hard to do for a number of reasons. So one is because it was actually quite difficult to print. So the base prints in 4 pieces, I think. Yeah, 4 pieces for the base, 4 pieces for the top. I had to create the grate that's underneath here to sort of try to diffuse the lights a little bit, because it just, it wasn't working the way that it was. There's no real instructions as to which ones of these cables go where, so you just have to keep randomly trying them until they seem to go in the right place. That's not cool. The rear piece that is holding him up is very difficult to print. That comes in about 8 different parts. There's no flat spots on any of it. It's really difficult to print. And then obviously the tube itself. So the tube itself on this is actually 2mm thick regular perspex that you can buy in a sheet that I've then just folded round. There's like a groove that goes all the way around that you can put there, and then it's pretty much just sellotaped at the back to keep it in place. And then that tube supports this top layer, and that top layer also supports the completely suspended Wolverine. So there's a couple of people who, when I put this up, asked whether or not you could actually fill this with water. I would say that, so I had to split the base because of the size that I did it, and I had to split the top. You would need to find a tube of the exact width, diameter, of the right thickness and the right size, and you would need to print this base as one, not as 4 individual parts. And then there's actually a hole in the middle of this, which I would bet you could put like an aquarium bubble machine in, that you would then have to seal in. And then I guess, in theory, you probably could fill that with water. I mean, it would weigh a ton. And just to be clear, this base is completely hollow. So there's no strength underneath this to sort of to hold everything in place or to stop this from bowing under the pressure of that water. That being said, as I said, this is scaled up 200%. So if you did it the original size, then maybe there would be, I mean, it'd be half the volume, obviously, so maybe you'd be able to find a tube that would be big enough, and then you'd have to silicone it in, and it could be done, but it would be a lot of work, and I wouldn't be 100% confident that that wasn't going to leak, and if it did leak, it's gonna make a mess, because this liquid should really be either blue or green. So I went with green lights because I just had green LEDs. If I remember rightly in the comic books, whenever you see tubes like this, they're either green, normally if they're making an evil character, or they're like a tealy blue. So you could try and go for either of those. But I mean, yeah, it would be a significant amount of work to get that right. Yeah, I mean, I love the model. It's just one of those models where it really feels like the artist who designed it never really intended it to be 3D printed. It was meant to be like, perhaps it was concept art on DeviantArt or something like that, and then someone approached them and said, could you make that 3D printable? This actual file came from a private commission group that I'm a part of, where we pay different artists to commission models for us. Yeah, it was a real sod to put together. It's now way too big to go on almost all of my shelves, and it's actually ripped the shelf out of the wall that I've got in the summer house like 3 times. So, so having somewhere to store this, definitely an issue. But that being said, I really do just love it. I love the overall effect. I love the fact that he's hovering and he is actually suspended. You know, he's not touching the base. I do love the model. It's just big, and I probably shouldn't have done it the size that I did. But I say that about a lot of my models. So yeah, I think hours-wise, this was about 250, maybe 300 hours. It was not a long paint job at all. The paint job was actually relatively easy. Then like the world's loudest seagull. It's actually not the world's longest paint job. Getting the flesh tone right was probably the hardest part. Everything else is just basically silver, black or gold. So the model is the figure is the focus, but this all becomes part of the picture. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Feel free to post up if any of you guys have got a model similar to this or any other Wolverine stuff you'd like to see us do, because I really do love Wolverine models. I've done, I don't know how many I've done of them now. Do you remember? Way more than any other character.
Yeah.
I've got my toddler size Wolverine. I had Wolverine versus Sabretooth, which melted in the sun. I've done this Weapon X. I've had a couple of other Wolverines as well. So yeah, but if you've got any that you like, post them up. Definitely subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that ring bell so that you get announcements whenever we are releasing new content. Thanks very much for joining us. Cheers, guys.